What is going on, YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast. We got episode 15 today, and we got a lot to talk about. But first off, let's go ahead and ask Andrew, how you feeling today?
Dude, I am feeling good, dude. The Browns play today. It is
Yes.
exciting. The Dog Pound's gonna be loud, and dude, I am ready. Tonight, we have the chance to clinch a playoff.
Yes, we do.
We have the chance, and we better do it. All right, I'm gonna be so upset.
Yeah. I mean, even if we don't win, we still have a chance to clinch. There's
Yeah,
like 8 different ways again this year or this week. So,
yeah.
I mean, not all hope will be lost, but a
No,
win pretty much guarantees. I think we have like a 99% chance to make the playoffs, and it would just be nice to just secure a playoff berth because then you can rest your guys. You can rest guys like Cooper and Thornhill who are both questionable. You can rest your
yeah.
kickers. You can rest Garrett and Zedarius and all these guys that do need the rest and do need to try to go into the playoffs as healthy as
Mhm.
possible. So that is a major thing that I would love for us to do. So let's lock it down. And the Jets have a good defense, but this is a game that is very winnable, like very 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 winnable with them having Trevor Simeon as their quarterback today, since
Yeah.
Zach Wilson is going to be out with a concussion, I do believe. So, um, yeah, we have our chance. We're in our home crowd, which is honestly to our advantage. I think every time we play at home, it's like damn near a guaranteed win because of just how great the crowd has been and how great the team
Yeah.
plays at home. So you got a chance. So lock it up. Let's
It's
do
gonna
it.
be it's gonna be crazy tonight too because I saw earlier before we jumped on that there's pretty much like not a single ticket left for this game. Like
Yep.
it's completely sold out, and that place is gonna be booming. Now, this is what we wanted in 2020. We wanted this a large ass crowd, and when we clinched the playoffs the first time,
Yeah.
but obviously COVID, we didn't get to do that. But now you get the opportunity to sit there, be at home. The crowd is going to be at full capacity. It's going to be loud. It's going to be noisy all game, and I think that's where the advantage comes in because the Jets are pretty much done and out, but that doesn't mean they're not going to play hard to ruin the Browns' chances.
No, not at
They're,
all.
no, they're going to go do whatever they can to ruin it. But like you said, Trevor Simeon is starting. That just spells turnovers for their offense. The only really offensive weapons that they have are Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall, but
Brees
Garrett
Hall's
Wilson's
been their big tank right now.
yeah.
I mean, he's been their workhorse. So you stop him, it's gonna be
Well,
tough
yeah,
for
you
them.
stop him, it's over because Garrett Wilson is only as good as your quarterback.
Yep.
And if you don't have a good quarterback in, Garrett Wilson's just non-existent
Yeah.
because he can't get the ball, and he's your top receiver. He's one of the best receivers in the league. But if you can't give him the ball, he does nothing. So you have to rely so heavily on Brees Hall.
Yeah.
Now, I did have a question for you, but it kind of slipped out of my mind. But
Okay.
so if it comes back, oh, okay. So I my question to you is, if the Browns have the opportunity for the number one seed after tonight, or well after Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously Miami plays Baltimore, and Baltimore need to lose twice, and if they lose starting against Miami, I forget who Miami play at the final game of the season. I want to say it's Buffalo,
It might be.
because I know
Could
it's
be a divisional game.
I think it's a divisional game. If Miami ends up beating Baltimore, you have the Steelers who play the Ravens,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have. And I'm gonna take a quick look at this too because I want to see who Miami end up playing if at the end of the season. So they do play the Bills. So I was correct. They do play the Bills.
Interesting.
So you need Miami to lose one time in these two games,
Yep.
but you need the Ravens to lose twice. So if Miami beats Baltimore, going into the final game of the season, if you win tonight, do you rest your starters still with the number one seed on the line?
I mean, that is a good question because you know, getting a 1 seed would be huge for us just to get that extra week of rest. The only thing that sucks, and I think it's always been a curse with the 1 seed, is most of them end up getting first rounded because they have that week off and they're
Yeah.
going to come out rusty. And I almost don't want that because we have this sort of
Momentum.
momentum. I think having our guys sit out the last game of the season is going to be a little more important for that than for us to be off for, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks. Like, that is a significant difference. And sure, that would get us more and more healthy. But where does that rhythm, start to come back?
Mm-hmm.
These guys are going to need some time to get back in the flow of things. And I don't know. I just the one seed would be great because we play so much better at home, but there's
Yeah.
been such a curse with the one seeds. I mean, and like I think back to when the Titans were the first seed a few years ago, and they just get absolutely brocked. Um, you know, and we've seen it time and time again where that happens. So
Yeah.
part of me doesn't, and also part of me just thinks that I think Baltimore is gonna beat Miami. I think the only way that they don't is if they come out flat and Miami just plays really good defense against their run game, um, because that's really the only thing that keeps the Ravens alive in these games is their run game and their defense. And if both of those things are, firing on all cylinders, they're a tough team to beat. But I'm not totally confident in Miami as well. Like they've just seemed like Dallas to me. Like they're a good team,
Mm-hmm.
but they also got some guys that are hurt too. I know Waddle is hurt. Tyreek's been dealing with a ankle, I think, as well. He's played, but I mean, I'm sure it has some sort of effect on him, and that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna hurt Tua. And they also don't have a great O line. There's just a lot of things that I'm not totally sold on. I think the biggest thing for us is just getting into the playoffs, and then after that, you let Joe Flacco be playoff Flacco, and I don't care who we play. I don't care where we play. That doesn't really matter to me. It's just getting there. Get us into
Yeah.
the playoffs, and then worry about what's in front of you from there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the best thing, at least the best thing for us is I'd say we played in the first round
Yeah,
because I'd rather ride the momentum that we have winning all these games and just continue that momentum going to the playoffs rather than kind of taking a 2 week off break and
yeah,
everything just kind of screeches to a halt. Now, like you said, what I do like is that you get the opportunity to have the rest, you get the opportunity to have all these people, healthy again and everyone's nice and ready to go. But
yeah,
again, I don't like the fact that I don't get the fact that it's too long of a rest
yeah,
because then you start to stiffen up, you start to play, you know, with no sense of urgency. And, I think when it comes down to it, I'd rather play against, because right now it seems like going to be playing against Jacksonville in the
yeah,
playoff, unless somehow, some way, Pittsburgh or whoever's in their division wins that division, because I think there's still a chance for Indianapolis to win it or Houston. So you could end up facing one of those two again, which I don't mind playing because we already played everyone in the AFC South.
yeah,
We had their entire schedule. So, and I believe we beat every single one of them too.
yeah. We beat. I mean, I know we
Yeah,
beat the
we
Colts.
beat
We
everyone.
beat Jacksonville.
We beat Houston. We beat Tennessee. So we beat all
Yeah,
four of them. Tennessee's already out, so you
yeah.
don't have to worry about
They're
Tennessee
done.
anymore. So you're either facing, if you're in this fifth seed, you're either facing Jacksonville, Houston, or Indianapolis. You've beat, and yeah, don't get me wrong, they'll be at their own home stadium, but Indianapolis is struggling as of late. They can't seem to string anything together. Houston without CJ Stroud is just non-existent. They can't play games. And Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence has been in and out with injuries, and they have fallen apart.
Yeah,
They've lost the last, was it like 3, 4 straight?
yeah. I mean they started the year 8-3, and since I don't think they've won a game.
Yeah, they started the year 8-3, and they're now 8-7. So
Yeah, four
they've
games.
lost the last 4 games. Yeah, they've lost the last four. One of them to Cleveland. They lost to Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, and they lost to Tampa Bay as of as of this past week.
Yeah.
And they got smoked by Tampa Bay too. It wasn't like it was a close game. They got smoked. It was 30-12. They were hammered.
Yeah.
And Trevor Lawrence is banged up. Like either one of them who you face, you have to feel super confident going into that game because they're all banged up and they're all on big losing streaks. They're not confident going into this playoff. And then if you win that game, you go to Baltimore,
Yeah.
who, if they have the first round bye, they're going to be like you said, overly rested. Are they really going to be ready for that game?
Man.
Joe Flacco's
You
going
don't
to,
know.
and Joe Flacco's played there for 12 years.
Yeah.
He knows that stadium like the back of his hand. He knows how to play in that stadium. He knows how to play in that crowd. Like, that's more of an advantage for him than it is for the Ravens.
Yeah, it is.
And we all know the Ravens bounced out in the first round every single time with Lamar Jackson. Every time they made the playoffs, bounced out the first round.
Yeah.
Or if they did get the 1 seed, they bounced out that round.
Yeah.
So they're not a strong. The Ravens have always been a regular season team as of late with Lamar Jackson, but they are not a playoff team with him.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson struggles heavily in the postseason, heavily, and they almost lost when you said the Titans were the first seed. They almost lost to Tennessee,
Yeah.
even though Tennessee they almost lost.
Yeah.
They struggled, and Tennessee wasn't even all that super great team. They were just
No.
lucky that they got the 1 seed.
Well, it's because they had AJ Brown.
Yeah.
That's why they had one of the better wide receivers at the time in the league, especially now. I mean, even now to this day, AJ Brown is still a top 5, receiver.
And
this
Tannehill was
year.
elite
Yeah,
that year.
and Tannehill had a great year. I think they
Yeah.
won 11 games that year. So, like, yeah, they were solid. But, I mean, you're right to that point. And honestly, dude, just as a Browns fan, and just in this specific situation, I so much prefer us to be considered the underdog every time.
Absolutely. Every
I
time.
I am fine being the 5th seed. Dude, I wouldn't even mind if we started off playing Kansas City. Like if we somehow fell to the 6th seed. Um, bring them on. Like we're not really scared of any team, and I would much rather be the underdog there, 100%. Um, I just there's not a lot of teams in the AFC that I really truly fear. It's just not as competitive of a conference as it was. And like I said,
Yeah.
I think the Bills are the only team I'm like really afraid of, and then Miami, because I mean Miami killed us last year for sure. Like that's
Yeah.
fine. They whooped our ass. But that was without Watson. Chubb had a good game, but I know our defense struggled. So we also had Joe Woods. Like it's a completely different team. This time around, like it could
And
be
they're super
different.
beatable.
Yeah, they're very beatable. Like I think when you start getting to Tua, I think he starts to crack and he starts to not make his throws. The thing that helps him is he gets bailed out a lot by Tyreek and
And
bailed out a
Jalen.
lot by this run game in general and Waddle. And that's because Mike McDaniel is a good head coach, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put that past him. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so again, I'm not really so fearful of any team. We've proven that we could be good teams. We have the best record against winning teams anyway in the entire league. Like teams should fear us, but as far as I know it, we're gonna be underdogs. But as some have also said, we're kind of that team that nobody really wants to play in the
Yeah.
first round. I truly believe that because we just have so much momentum going, and whether we decide to win out or not, like as long as we win tonight, that's all I care about. The Bengals, I mean, even with their, them being sort of out of the race at this point, um, they're gonna probably rest their guys as well, and then you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
think, this guy's like T. Higgins decide to leave because of Jamar's contract and because of Burrow's deal as well. Like they're gonna have to make choices there, including with Joe Mixon as well. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of things that the Bengals are gonna have to worry about this offseason. So it's gonna be interesting, but I just want us to remain the underdog, the team that not
Yeah.
everybody is trying to talk about, but the ones that are like, watch out for these Browns because
Yeah.
they are playing some good football.
I was just watching Good Morning Football, and every single one of them,
Our
Peter
biggest cheerleaders, man. I
Schrager,
love them. I love
I
those
do
guys.
too. Peter Schrager,
Hmm.
Kyle Brandt, all those guys,
Hmm.
they just sat there and they said, listen, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns in the playoffs, this is a team you do not want to play. They will be very scary. And even, I think it was Kyle Brandt who said, I heard rumblings that teams don't want to play Cleveland, whether they're at home or away.
Oh,
They don't want to
yeah,
play Cleveland
yeah,
because they know that Cleveland's a good, scary football team. Even with all the injuries, they, for some reason, will hammer you down and
yeah.
beat you. And I mean, they're like, look what they did to San Francisco. They had nobody against San Francisco, and they beat them. They beat Christian McCaffrey. They beat Debo Samuel. They beat Brock Purdy. They made that team look the weakest team in the league.
They
You know they
all and they all got hurt too. I mean, Debo
yeah
got hurt. I think even Kittle got hurt. I know CMC was sort of banged up, and we even got Trent Williams out of there as well. Like
yeah,
we really played physically against him, and they were not ready for it.
and that's the thing. The Browns, and that's what they said too. Is like it's not that this team is just like they look mediocre roster wise right now. Like you think that they have nobody playing for them, but the thing is that they play super physical. They're not
Hmm.
afraid to pound you to the ground and play physical defense. Physicality on offense. They're not afraid of it. And that's why they're probably so injured, is because they're playing so physical that they're willing to risk whatever it takes
Hmm.
to get a W. And we see that time and time again. I mean, Miles Garrett shoved like three guys all at once to the ground and almost got a sack this past weekend.
Yeah.
Like he is bullying people. Yeah, he may not be getting sacks in the last few games, but he's making sure that Zadarius gets his. He's making sure that Hurst gets his. He's making sure that everyone on that defense, like Alex Wright, gets his. He's making sure everyone on that line
Yeah.
gets theirs. I mean, hell, it's making JOK so much better because JOK can just scream right through the middle and just get to the quarterback effective immediately when he does that.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen that time and time again in the last couple of weeks where JOK is just, oh, cool, I got a pick against Houston. Oh, cool, I screamed right down the middle, untouched, and got to Case
Justin
Keenum.
Fields, yeah, or even
Yeah,
Fields,
Justin Fields.
the game
Yeah,
before him.
yeah.
Like,
It's like people don't understand what MVP means or what Defensive Player of the Year means. It doesn't mean just sacks.
yeah,
And everyone's like, "Oh, TJ Watt, he got all these sacks." It doesn't mean that. It means that Miles Garrett is freeing up space for his guys to do whatever they can to stop the offense. He is clearing space for Denzel Ward to scream off the edge.
yeah.
For
Newsome,
Greg Newsom to
Delpit,
scream,
all those
yeah,
guys, yeah.
to come off the edge and just scream to the quarterback. He is freeing up space for everybody while also getting tackles for losses, just getting straight up big tackles.
And
Uh,
always in key moments of games too. Like
yeah, and,
there's
and
at
it's
least one or two plays a game he gets where it's a TFL, and he's playing a lot better against the run as well.
mhm.
And I think he's learning that from Zadarius because Zadarius is good against the run as well.
Yeah,
Those two have just been doing their jobs. Like they're playing within the defense and using their strengths in our favor. And again, Miles Garrett also gets doubled twice as much as TJ Watt. He even gets doubled more than Micah. And Micah, I think, is like the closest to Garrett
yeah. I
in
saw
the
this,
double team percentage.
and I saw this too. It was Miles Garrett is 30% of the time double teamed.
Yeah.
The next is Micah Parsons at 15%.
So it's still half
It's still
of what
half of
he
what Miles
sees.
Garrett.
Yeah.
And then TJ Watt's like I think it's like 8%,
Mm.
which is like one of the lowest.
And again, TJ Watt is only really a right end. Like he does not move around on the line as much as
He's a
Garrett does.
linebacker.
Yeah, like Garrett. I even saw a clip today by Dan Orlovsky. Miles dropped back in coverage at least once last game. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
how many times he does a game. But I mean, he does it somewhat, but again, it's to free up other guys. And again, when he did that, everybody thought Garrett was coming, and as soon as he dropped back, three of their right side linemen were all not blocking anybody. So then there was two guys on one dude, and you have two guys ready to come screaming. Like
yeah.
it's the system. It's what Jim Schwartz is doing, and it's
He's
working.
he's scheming against the offense, and he's fooling the offensive line. Like, okay, well, Miles Garrett's gonna scream off the edge. Oh shit, he just dropped back into coverage. What the hell do we do? Next thing you know, here comes Alex Wright. Here comes the Darius. They're all coming right there. And next thing you know, JOK is coming right through the middle.
Yeah.
And
Like,
Taki's sitting there dropping back with Miles, freeing
yeah.
up that space as well. And they're all confused, like, oh shit, we don't know what to do. And next thing you know, the quarterback's like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting this to happen either. And
Yeah.
he's now has to quickly scramble and run around because he has no idea what's going on. And then next thing you know, here comes Greg Newsom to pop him off.
Yeah. And they're able to disguise their coverages very well. They start off in sort of a
Exactly.
cover zero, and then it goes to, oh, it's Tampa 2. Oh, or here, they stay in man. Like, it's so beautiful what Schwartz is doing. Like, he will show 7 guys, and he may only have to bring 4 or 5. That's
Because those
usually.
the guys will drop in coverage.
And then yeah, and it's just, it works beautifully, and it's because it's a disciplined team. We finally have a disciplined team that knows their jobs, knows their roles, and doesn't try to do anything pretty. And I think especially this year with Garrett, I don't know what he went through this past like off season, but he's been a lot more about the team than he like ever has. And not to say he hasn't, but
Yeah.
it was, all of his goals in previous seasons where I want defense player of the year, I want this. This year, he has not really said that much. He's like, I just want to go back to the playoffs. I want to win the Super Bowl. Like, I want to win with this team. So like,
Yeah.
whatever Schwartz or whatever Stefanski said or whatever he just did to himself, he's been so much about the team. He doesn't care about his
Yeah.
personal stats anymore, and it's showing because he's not putting that much pressure on himself. He's just saying, use me the way you need to, line me up wherever you need me to. I will do my job. And
And,
as
and,
long as long as we are winning, who the hell cares?
and I think that has a lot to do with bringing Jim Schwartz into this
No.
team because with Joe Woods, it was all just Miles Garrett. That was it. It was all about Miles. But when you bring in a guy who actually knows what the hell he's doing, and Jim Schwartz, he knows how to use Miles. He knows how to use he knows how to use every little piece on that defense. It's not just one guy. He knows how to use everybody. And now Miles is like, okay, cool. We have a competent defense now, and everybody like, and Miles knows that we built an insane defense. It's just we had the wrong coordinator to run this defense,
Yeah. Shit
and
waste.
you went from being the 20th defense in the NFL to now the number one defense in the league because you finally found someone who knows what they're doing and how to do their job and can use Miles in the middle, on the edge. You know, he can use Miles anywhere. He can do the same with the Darius. He can bring guys up. He knows how to do it. He doesn't have Juan Thornhill sitting 30 yards deep and the middle of the field is wide open. And
Yeah.
Juan Thornhill's up there with everybody.
We're
So
playing man a lot more too.
we're playing man.
That's
Oh, and that's the thing. Our corners are more better in man. Meanwhile, Joe Woods has us playing, as a soft zone coverage every single time.
especially when it was so bad when it was like third and short, like third and 3, and you're
Yeah,
seeing a soft zone, like cover zero that bitch and just send some blitzes. And
yeah,
he tried to put too much on Miles to be like, hey, if you don't get to the quarterback, this won't work. And now it's,
yeah,
hey, we are just gonna use you. If you get there, great. If not, we're gonna have 2 or 3 more guys there because I'm telling you, the
yeah,
quarterbacks are feeling our pressure almost every down. Like,
yeah.
and that's why we are able to create the turnovers and able to create the spaces that we need to get pass blocks, to get just key plays and get these guys off the field quickly. And we've had a lot of 3 and outs this year with this defense, and that's because they're so disciplined, and it's
And,
all the credit to Jim Schwartz.
and I don't know about you, but every time we lose the ball or like turn over the ball on offense, I am beyond confident in that defense. I'm not upset that
Hmm.
Joe Flacco threw an interception. I'm like, cool, our defense will get it back. I know for a fact that defense will get the ball back, and Joe Flacco will be on the field in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
And
the
it's
really
like,
only time it really doesn't happen is if it's a big field switch. But I
yeah,
mean, his picks the last few weeks, like, they haven't really been like detrimental in that aspect. It's usually
Yeah.
just like a a very early punt, and then okay, there you go.
Yep. Yeah, no, and it just makes me more confident in the defense to do their job and get the ball back. And I'm not worried about Joe Flacco throwing the interceptions that he has because we all know what comes to that interception. The next time around comes a deep ball to Amari Cooper,
Yeah.
Marquise Goodwin for 50 yards, and boom, you're already in striking distance of field goal range, or you're within first and goal, and you're ready to score a touchdown. Which also too, about 5 minutes ago, the Browns have elevated Matt Hack
Yep.
and Riley Patterson from the practice squad, so now we have a kicker and a punter getting ready to play tonight. So thank
Just saw
goodness.
that. Yep.
So we don't have to use D'Anthony Bell on kickoff.
Yeah.
Which I thought he did a great job. I mean, he kicked. He was told to go out there and squib it, and then he made the tackle.
Yeah, it's literally he literally made the tackle. Like that was really cool. So yeah, I mean, it's a chance for those guys to do a little damage for us, and it's nice that we at least got some competent people to you know back up in this instance. It sucks. I mean, it does suck. Like D Hop has been a big reason for our success, but
Yeah.
worry about getting him healthy for the playoff run. It's a hamstring, so as long as he's able to kick, that's
Yeah.
really all that matters. So let him rest. That's
The-
totally fine.
Yeah, and the only downside of Riley Patterson is that he is 1 for 3 from 50 plus, with his longest being 53.
Hmm.
So as long as you don't have him kick 50 yarders, I think you're solid.
Yeah. But I mean, we
So
even said that about D Hop, and D Hop
yeah,
was so great. So you know,
no, never
I
know.
think Bubba could work with him. I mean, it's not like he hasn't kicked well this year. I mean,
Yeah,
listen, as long as he makes PATs
that's
and
all
you
that
go out
matters.
there and you need him to make a
A 30 yarder.
two, yeah, like a 30 or 40, it should be money anyway as a
Yeah.
NFL kicker. So I mean, again, as long as
Although,
you're not missing PATs, that's when like problems really start to arise for me is when you're missing PATs consistently.
well, that's what we lost with Cade York. He was starting to
Yeah,
miss PATs. He was starting to miss, 30-yard field goals, and it's like, okay, like now this is becoming a big issue. This is why
yeah,
we have to go and get Dustin Hopkins because we can't afford you. And those were games on the line, the games on the line, or a chance to win,
yeah,
and or even to just take a simple lead. Like you can't miss these opportunities to take the lead.
yeah.
And so, and it reminded me of Zane Gonzalez in 2018 when we drew against the Steelers and tied the Pittsburgh Steelers. We lost to the Saints, and we lost like the first tied and lost the first like 3 games of the season because of missed field goals. And all you had to do was make the field goal, and you won those games.
Yeah.
And you missed it. You could have started the season off in that season in 2018 3-0
Yeah.
or 4-0, like. But then again, I'm kind of glad we didn't because then Hugh Jackson got fired and
Yeah. Which was a
and
blessing. My God.
then
Ugh.
Baker started playing quarterback again and
I can't believe we even went through all that. Like that's the thing too. Like Browns fans gotta understand. It wasn't too long ago that we
that
were
we went to
0 and
hell.
16.
Yeah.
That we were 1 and 15. Where we had a terrible head coach. In fact, two terrible head coaches before Kevin Stefanski finally
Oh yeah,
got
Freddie
here.
Kitchens, baby. Freddie
Yeah.
Kitchens was my favorite.
That year is just an anomaly of a year. My gosh, like what a
But
weird
now,
year that was. Like we killed Baltimore at the start of the year. I think that was like
yep.
week 2. We killed them in Baltimore, and then my God, we just couldn't get anything going. That was such a weird season.
Yeah, but hey, look, we got Kate Stefanski in here now, and
And if anybody wanted him fired, it's not happening now. Like
he's
Stefanski
getting an
is probably
extension.
going to win Coach of the Year again.
He's gonna win
If
Coach of the Year
not,
and
he's
get
going to win.
extended.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get a deal. Like he has to. He's earned it. He's played with 4 quarterbacks, and that was the thing I shared. I think on Facebook. Every top team in the league besides us has only started 1 quarterback. We've
Yep.
started 4, and we're still at the top of the league in terms of our records and stuff. So
We still have one of the best records in the NFL
which is
with
crazy
four
to
different
think about
quarterbacks.
too. Yeah, I mean that just it's a testament to just how good this team is built, and the guys that we have in this locker room are they're a good group of guys that you need to try to bring back a lot of these
Yep.
guys.
And
So
Stefanski also has 2 winning seasons for the first time since Amari Schottenheimer in the '80s. So,
yeah,
which is ridiculous.
and it's not like he was too far off the last 2 years. Like we were what 8 and 9, I think, the last 2 years,
Yeah,
something like that. So I mean, it's not like we weren't playing like super crazy. It was the first one was Baker just hurt the whole year, and then
yeah,
last year was Deshaun suspended for 12 games. Brissett does enough, and then Deshaun obviously comes out super rusty, doesn't
yep.
know the offense, and actually he still won. Like I think I'm pretty sure he went 3-3. So I mean, and
It's not
it's
like it
not
went bad. Huh?
like it wasn't bad, and then he went 5-1 before he got hurt as a starting quarterback, and it is what it is. But the Flacco to Cooper connection, let's just talk about that real fast. My goodness.
Yeah. Oh Jesus,
11
dude.
catches, 265 yards, a Browns record. I have to have a quick shout out to that because that is impressive in itself. To do it on Christmas Eve, uh, absolutely salute to you, dude, because that was a monstrous game
Mm.
that I don't think anybody saw coming in that way. But ever since Flacco has started, Cooper has now had two big games. Chief has had some big games as well. He's scoring the ball a lot as well. Um, just want to see our run game do better. That's my only gripe with this team right now is our run game is just non-existent.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too is the offensive line is being shredded to pieces, and
Yeah.
the gaps and the holes that we usually create aren't there anymore, and it either gets blown up so fast or Ford is just blind and he can't see the hole that is created and he just misses it. But I mean, as long as Joe Flacco is doing what he does best, I mean, I think the Browns are. I mean, we still ran the ball almost 25 times, so it's not like we're not running the ball when we
Right.
need
It's
to.
just
And so
we're just not getting yards.
we're just not getting the yardage that we want to get, and I think that's a testament to stop running to James Hudson's side
Yeah.
because he gets blown up really fast. But I think what's going to happen is we're still going to run the ball this game. We're still going to do what we can to run the football. But I mean, it's not going to be shocking when Joe Flacco throws it for 40 times again tonight. And I think the Browns come out and they're trying to give the fans a show tonight. Like I think they're trying to go out with a bang for one last time in Cleveland
Absolutely.
Brown Stadium before we end up in the playoffs and we do all that and we're not home for a while. So I think that's what it's going to be because the next time we can have a home playoff game could be the AFC Championship game.
Yeah. Which is wow. I mean,
Can you imagine
that
hosting
would be
that?
something. Yeah, that would be wild. But yeah, I mean, you were totally right. This is a good game for us to come into. Um, Honestly, dude, we might even get Thornhill back tonight, which would be
So
nice. Although I don't
I
really care if he does or not, because the guys have played fine.
I do have the injury report up here, and for one, Thornhill he did practice yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's listed as questionable today.
Right.
So he was a full participant yesterday, and he's questionable. So there's a good chance he could play tonight.
Yeah.
And
Which
and
would be
obviously
nice.
and obviously Amari Cooper did not practice all week, and he is questionable as well with an ankle injury, or excuse me, a heel injury, which I mean I guess it's an ankle injury. So Amari Cooper, and it's been thrown around that Amari Cooper is a game time decision. He may not play tonight,
Yeah.
and I mean I understand why. You just had 265 fucking receiving yards, and
She's
I'm pretty
absurd.
sure you're feeling that a little bit,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to fight it and plays tonight. And if he does get hurt, I mean, obviously he could just rest for the Bengals game, and he could have that time off, which he would be very well deserved. But other than that, I mean, as it comes out in the report, Okoronkwo is out,
Yeah.
Anthony Walker is out, Dustin Hopkins is out,
Yeah.
Bajorquez is doubtful, which he's out,
He's out. Yeah.
and then Amari Cooper, Goodwin, and Juan Thornhill are all questionable, which I believe
I think
three.
Coop's gonna go.
I think Coop's good. I think all three are gonna go.
Yeah.
Marquise Goodwin was limited practice all week and is listed questionable, but I still think there's a chance he could try and come out and play a little bit.
It's gonna be intriguing too because if Cooper plays, I feel like he's gonna be a decoy. I feel like he really won't have like a crazy game because he's gonna go up against Sauce, and
I think
obviously we know how good he is. So guys like Elijah Moore and Tillman could very well eat tonight, and same even with Chief.
I think it's going to be an Elijah Moore revenge game against the Jets, against his
I
former
hope
team,
so.
and I think he's going to go off. I think this is the game he goes off in, and he starts going for like 80 yards and a touchdown or something.
I was starting to think about because I'm waiting for the injury report to come out before I put in any bets in tonight because I do want to put some bets in.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that Elijah Moore, especially if Coop does play, I think Moore is the one that eats. I would not be surprised if Tillman gets a touchdown today though. I really wouldn't
Yeah,
because it makes sense to use him as a big body in the red zone. But Chief has been our guy there, anyway. Um,
I think
so we'll
Chiefs could have
see.
a massive game too.
Yeah, so we'll see. Flacco has to try to limit the turnovers. He cannot be turning the ball over, especially against this Jets team, because that's where you could really put yourself in a spot where it's going to be tough to climb out of.
Yeah.
Um, but
And at least you're
again,
not going against Aaron Rodgers.
yeah,
That's the nice part.
yeah. So I mean, you pretty much stop Brees Hall. You stop their run game in general, and I think we'll be doing okay. I think
Yeah,
I think we'll be just fine.
yeah. There's no way Trevor Simeon puts up a 300 yarder type performance
No,
tonight against you.
no, he should not pull a Flacco and literally do that to us like he did last year
well,
because we
and
were all just like, what the fuck?
and the stat for the Browns at home is that they've limited quarterbacks to under 100 yards
Yeah,
every single time a quarterback has stepped into Brown Stadium this season. I think the most anyone has gotten was like 70 yards, and
man.
well, I could say the one who got the most was Lamar Jackson, and week 2 or week 3.
Right, but that's because his defense also helped him.
Yeah, but other
I
than
mean, I
that, I
think
mean,
Trevor Lawrence had a decent game, but even him, he threw 3 picks. So I mean,
yeah,
you really just got to get to to their quarterback, and it's not like their offensive line is not beat up because it is too. So I mean, it's gonna
yeah,
be interesting, and as long as we stay within our game plan, we should be just fine. I just again, I don't want to, and we tried to talk about this last night. So we tried to record this last night, and my internet decided to go out halfway through. So we've already gotten through that part. But Flacco has been throwing the ball a good 40 times a game since
yeah,
he's been here. And you just wonder how long it's going to take until it finally starts to catch up to us. And that's why I do want us to run the ball a little bit better. And I do just wonder if Stefanski decides, hey, Ford, like, we're going to give you less carries, and, we're going to try to give Pierre Strong some carries. Especially in these last 2 games, you might as well see what he's got.
yeah.
Especially if we win this game, let Pierre Strong be the lead back against the Bengals and let him see what he's got.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a sort of gateway game for him to be like, hey, let's give this kid more carries because he can run the ball better, and he does because I mean, in less carries he runs for the same amount of yards as Ford does in 20. It's just it's not working. Whatever it is with Ford right now, it's just not work. It's not going to work consistently unless it's a divisional game. I don't know what it is about games in the AFC North. That's when he plays well. He plays well against the
Yeah,
Steelers and Baltimore and the Bengals.
it's yeah,
It's weird. It's really really weird. But hey, whatever. I don't care. But we do need to run the ball better.
yeah. No, I completely agree, and I do like the idea of having Pierre Strong be kind of like the lead back for the last couple of games of the season, just to see what he can offer as a lead back and see what he can do with at least like 15 or so carries, and see if he can do anything better than Jerome Ford. If not, then I mean, you still have Kareem Hunt, who used to be a lead back for Kansas City, and was the backup to Nick Chubb, and when Nick Chubb went down, he was the lead back. So I mean, you just still have Kareem Hunt in that regard, who can be a lead back.
Absolutely.
All right, so what do you say we transition to some Cavaliers basketball?
Yeah, they just won last night in a comeback win. They were down big against Dallas, and
Down by
Jared Allen.
20, yeah.
Jared Allen had a monstrous game last night. My goodness, the stat line was crazy.
Yeah, his stat line was absolutely ridiculous,
It
dude.
wasn't it
24
24 points, 23
23
rebounds,
rebounds. Yeah, dude, like
6 assists,
it's
I think. Yeah.
like he had a massive double double, and he was big reason why the Cavs came back. And same thing with Karis LeVert, who had 29 points off the bench and dropped a big game. And shout out to Isaac Okoro for having 22 points as well, for
Wow.
going and balling out. So Isaac Okoro had a great game, and he also he didn't have many he didn't have many assists or rebounds, but he did have a great defensive performance too. He had a few blocks and I believe in a steal as well. So he had a big defensive performance as well as 22 points. So
Yeah.
the team's showing up with no Darius Garland and no Donovan Mitchell
And no Mobley.
and no Mobley either. All three, well, Donovan Mitchell was sick, but
Yeah.
the other two
Sick.
injured. Yeah.
There's something weird going on with that because he's been sick for four games now. Something's going on,
Yeah.
I think.
I think he's injured, but they don't want it to be an injury. Yeah. I think there's a slight injury to him, but I don't think they want to say what it is. But I mean, hey,
And also, Karis LeVert, 29 points.
it's ridiculous. 7 assists as well.
Yeah.
Frustrating the hell out of the Dallas Mavericks.
I mean, even Niang having 16 off the bench is also very big, especially when Iluka had 39. That really helps. that really does help. Wow.
And you know what? I know we don't do this a lot, but I want to shout out to JB Bickerstaff because, I mean, what a performance! Your team is down by 20, and it's like this game's gonna be done and dusted. You're not gonna win this game. And then I checked my phone again just to see what the final was, to see how bad it was, and it's like, oh shit, we're up 113 to 110 with 45 seconds left. I was like, oh shit, like what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't that. I was like, we were just down 20 like 10 minutes ago. Like, when the hell did we come back?
Yeah. It's very intriguing. Almost everybody in this starting lineup for the Cavs last night was all in the plus in terms of the plus minus on the floor, which is great. Honestly, Wade had the best one at plus 15. Jared Allen plus 14. Porter had plus 9. And everybody else had plus 4s. Even Amani Bates, he only played 6 minutes. He didn't score, but he had plus 11. So he had 3 assists and 1 rebound. So that's good. He at least put in some at least contributed. And obviously Sam Morrell was out with a wrist sprain, so that didn't really help. But guys are giving us good minutes. And honestly, one more shout out, TT. Dude, Tristan Thompson has been giving us some really good minutes. He's only playing like 10 to like 12 minutes a night, but that's enough for him, and he's contributing positively every single game, it seems like. Like he's really starting to just become a part of the rotation, and that's big for us. And also it's just, a leadership point as well. He's the K-Love that we had last year before we traded him. So it's good to have him starting to contribute, especially when you thought he was probably just going to retire. But yeah, that was a big win, and the Cavs are, I think they're 5 games above 500. So, we're still hanging on. In fact, we have the same exact record as Dallas does. And obviously, I know Dallas didn't have Kyrie last night. He was hurt, which is not shocking. But still, to beat a good Dallas team like the way you did and come back, that's big. I mean, that's a big win. It's a confidence booster. They really needed that, and I hope that they can carry that into a few more of these games because they're gonna have some tough ones. I think they have one tomorrow against the Bucks, if I'm not mistaken.
You're correct.
So that's gonna be another challenge, and if you can come into your home place and you can beat a good Bucks team, the team is gonna feel a lot better for sure.
Yeah, no, and you're also 5 games behind Milwaukee in the division. So a win here, you're starting to close that gap a little bit on Milwaukee, and you never know. I mean, Donovan Mitchell starts to feel good. He's happy where he's at because the team's starting to perform well again, and I don't know, man. I think personally for me, I think that Mitchell's, illness is the fact that the Cavs struggled a little bit, and he just kind of wanted no part of it. But now I think that the Cavs are. I mean, the Cavs went on a like a 5 game or a 3 game win streak. Then they lost to New Orleans, and then they're back on a win streak. If Donovan Mitchell comes back now, it would be a big boost, and I think he will because he is playing against the Milwaukee Bucks. So I think he does come back just to
Yeah.
play against Milwaukee because I mean it's a big important game. I mean you have the chance to close the gap, and you're without Garland for the next 3 weeks because he missed the last 2 weeks because of that broken jaw,
Yeah.
and so he's probably gonna be out for another 2 to 3 weeks. So now's a chance to handle business, to start closing gaps and start making runs. And I mean, as you said, you got the next 2 games who are difficult because you got Milwaukee and Toronto, and then you have kind of, I wouldn't say a rest, but you have a few easy games. You play Washington back to back, and then you play San Antonio.
Yeah.
So you have those games coming up, which are very winnable games because if you look at the standings when it comes to the NBA here, I mean, Washington's a 5 win team, and San Antonio is a 4 win team.
Yeah.
So after Milwaukee, I mean, you have 3 easy games, and if you can beat Milwaukee, you can go on a massive run
Yeah.
and
Okay.
start closing that gap on the Bucks and start jumping into first place in the Central.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for all of us, I think that'd be amazing because wouldn't it be nice to be number one at the end of the season and being the first team in the Central, not Milwaukee, and
Yeah.
you know people start to fear you instead of fearing Milwaukee because Milwaukee right now is 1 game behind Boston for number one in the conference.
And Boston is the clear team in the East right now that I think everybody just
Well, Boston's just a
sort of
clear favorite to win
assumes.
the whole thing.
Yeah, they really
Boston's a
are.
clear favorite, and I mean the only other good team behind them is Milwaukee, and surprisingly enough, Minnesota, who are in first place in the Western Conference at 22-7.
Good for them.
Uh, Minnesota have came out of nowhere and just absolutely have dominated the Western
Well,
Conference, and
and you know what? They have good players. Like
they
there
have
was
insane
zero
plays.
reason. There was zero reason why that team the last 2 years has been a sub 500 or around
They have a
500
good talented
team.
team.
Especially with Anthony Edwards now. You still have Cat. You still have who the hell is his name? The other large human being they have. They have two centers on that team basically that are all stars. It's just they have a good built team, and I think it was probably way more to do with coaching. But whatever it was, there was no reason for them to be as
Oh,
bad
they
as
have
they
Rudy
have been.
Gobert.
Yeah, yeah, Gobert. So, and they made that trade pretty much the same time that Ed Donovan got traded. So I mean, again,
And they
it
also got Mike Conley too.
yeah. So I mean, they have players. They have good quality players. There should be zero reason why they were as mediocre mediocre as they were the last 2 years. Um,
But
so I mean, that's
also,
good. I mean, that's good for them because the West is now wide open with Golden
oh
State
yeah.
being as bad as they are.
Well, Golden State, they're not even in a playoff push. They're 15-15. Same with
Yeah,
the
they're
Phoenix Suns,
yeah,
and they're tied for 10th place, which is the final spot for the play-in tournament.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Golden State's going down. Phoenix, although they bought Kevin Durant, they have Devin Booker, they can't win games.
And they have
And,
who was the other kid? Bradley Beal, I think, is
yeah,
there as well. So I mean, everybody's getting older, but I even saw on Twitter, I think it was earlier this week, and it was saying how AD pretty much wants out, and now the rumor is he's gonna go to the Lakers, which do whatever the hell you want, but your whole entire career, you've been on super teams. And you haven't won anything without being on Golden State. That was the only team that you really
yeah,
truly flourished on. Besides, OKC, him and Russ, they cooked. They did what they needed to do, especially with James
yeah.
Harden there as well. That was a fun team to watch. And now since then, I'm pretty sure the most successful guy has been Russell, straight up. Because I mean, what has Harden done? Harden has bounced around. I mean, he hasn't really enjoyed his last year or two in Philadelphia, so he goes to the Clippers, and now they're kind of just mid as well. Like, I don't know, the basketball world right now is very bad. Like, I even saw this stat for Christmas games for NFL versus
Hmm.
basketball. Basketball was at a fraction of what the NFL was. Like, and that was so big with us when we were, when we had, when we had LeBron. Christmas was Cavs
Yeah,
basketball, and it's just like when the Christmas games are not as good anymore. That's when the league is starting to get a little
crumble.
boring. Like
Yeah.
it's getting boring because there's just super teams that suck, and then there's teams like like the Cavs that should be so much better, and they're just not. Like it's just a very boring year, and I don't know how they can get out of it. It's weird,
Well, what's not boring is that the Cavs jumped New York the other night and jumped the Knicks. So
and
we
that's
love to
good.
see that.
Yeah, because we hate the Knicks. We don't like them. We don't
Yeah.
like them at all. All right, well, let's go ahead and switch a little bit before we get off here because we also have another big game tomorrow as well. I
Yeah.
do believe OSU versus Missouri. A good look finally at Devin Brown. We will see all who plays. I don't know. Sounds like Harrison won't play, and it sounds like he's done. So it is what it is. But Travion Henderson could play. Ibuka could play. There's some guys on the defensive side of the ball that could, that could still play. So, there's a very good chance that this is going to be a fun game for us to watch. And,
Hmm.
um, I mean, I still think we should be the favorites to beat, Missouri. It's obviously going to be a tough game, but I expect some good things out of Devin Brown. Everybody's talked a big game about him.
Hmm.
I think he's gonna have a good game. So I'm really curious to see how this game flows for us.
Yeah, no, me too. Right now we're listed as -3.5 favorites,
Yeah,
so we're favored by a field goal, basically,
yeah,
which I'll take. I'll take it right now. But I mean, like you said, we should have some of the guys playing. Abuka should be playing. Stover should be playing. I'm sure Harrison will play because it is a big bowl game, and I'm sure he wants to win. So I'm sure Marvin Harrison will be involved. But there is some big news about Julian Fleming, who is wanting to leave and go into the transfer portal because he's not getting the reps over obviously like Abuka and
right,
Harrison, and which I mean, fair enough.
yeah,
But you do lose a 5-star recruited wide receiver in Julian Fleming. And right now he's looking at Kentucky. And I think right now his mind is committed to going to Penn State. So he's going to a rival if he does, which isn't good for you. But I mean, the only reason why he'd go there is because he'd be the number one receiver
yeah,
and he'd get all the targets. But again, it depends on the quarterback play because yes, he wasn't doing too much here, but Kyle McCord, not the best guy to be throwing the football to him, and
mm-mm.
there's been a lot with Julian Fleming dropping the football as well, and so a lot of it has been on him as well because he
Well, yeah, he
has been
just didn't
getting
stay
opportunity,
healthy. Like he
and he
was
doesn't
hurt
stay
his
healthy.
first 2 or 3 years, I think, with
Yeah,
us.
and so you can't pin that on the Ohio State program that you've been injured for a couple of years, and I mean, hey, if you want to leave and be a number one somewhere else, then go be a number one somewhere else. I mean, that's
Hmm.
fine. We already have 5-star recruits coming in that are wide receivers, and they'll just take your place.
Yeah,
So, but I'm excited to see what Devin Brown can do. I mean, like you said, everyone's been talking a big game about him during the last few practices and saying that he's been looking really, really good. And so we'll see. I mean, we have until tomorrow. We can watch and see what Devin Brown can do and see how we can handle Missouri.
yeah. And if he takes care of business and he plays well and he throws the ball pretty well,
Hmm.
he could very well start the following year and give Aaron Nolan a year off of just saying, "Hey, chill back. You will start for this program, but just not right away." But if Aaron Nolan is just that good, he's going to start regardless, and
Yeah.
then that does create some sort of issues, I'm sure. But again, it just sounds like everybody really wanted Devin Brown to win that duel against McCord, and
Hmm.
I think McCord just I don't know what he did or what his dad may have done to kind of alter everything, but it sounds like everybody just approves of Brown a little more. Um,
Yeah.
and so, we'll see what the kid's got. I didn't really love the way he threw the ball. It was always kind of like not a tight spiral. But even
Yeah.
McCord was, sort of the same way. It was just his arm was a little bit bigger and a little more of a pocket guy. But again, we've said before, uh, Ohio State has not really had a guy that's been like a pure pocket quarterback in a long, long time. It's
Yeah.
always been a guy that can run the ball, stretch the field, make plays with his, legs. Uh, and we just didn't have that this year. And I think Brown can give you that. Obviously, Aaron Nolan will give you that. So,
Yeah.
guys are going to be ready. And one more guy that I'm really excited to see, and I hope he gets a big chance to play a lot of reps, is Tate Martell. I've been
Yeah.
waiting for him to get a shot. Julian Fleming obviously started over him, but everybody talked a big game of him of saying like, hey, he is the next guy up in terms of where Harrison was. Like they said, he was above Harrison as a freshman, and I mean that says something because Harrison was doing some cool things as a freshman. Like he really wasn't starting, but by the time he played in the Rose Bowl game, was like, whoa, this guy is something. And I hope that it's kind of like a similar thing that will happen for us. Is how that Rose Bowl went a few years ago, where we just had a big old fashioned shootout against Utah State, where you're just kind of seeing these young guys step up, and you see the next guys that are gonna be in this program for at least the next year or two, and see what they got, and it's gonna be fun. I cannot wait for it. I also just miss a little bit of OSU football, so I am really excited for that. But it's gonna be interesting. We will see how it goes. We'll see how Day bounces back after again losing to Harbaugh and
Hmm.
the Wolverines for a third straight year. And then after that, it's seeing if that team up north can really beat Bama, because I really don't think they can. Personally, I think they're gonna get their butts handed to them against Bama. So
Oh, absolutely. And I can't wait to see it.
yeah, I can't either. All right, well, before we get off here, let's go ahead and get some final predicts for not only
Yeah.
the Browns and also Ohio State as well. So actually, let's start with Ohio State. Score predict for Ohio State.
With Devin Brown, I don't think it's gonna be super crazy. I'm gonna go with a 24-10.
Okay, just a solid like, hey, beat down.
Just a
Defense is
solid
still doing its
beatdown.
thing. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm actually saying it's going to be a little bit more of a shootout, but not too much of a shootout. I don't think it will be like the Rose Bowl game a few years ago.
Yeah.
I'm saying like 34 to 24. I think.
Mhm.
I actually think Brown is going to do some numbers. I think he's going to make some plays with his legs. It's going to be nice, and I think it's just going to open up a lot of plays for us, and Day
Yeah.
is going to have some fun with it. So
I
I
like
think
that.
everybody's going to kind of play a little loose. It's going to be nice. All
I
right.
like that a lot.
Browns versus Jets tonight. Obviously the big game. Score predict for that one.
Oh man, I predict another Joe Flacco 300-yard, 2 touchdown type of performance. I say the Browns 32, Jets 14.
Okay. I don't think we'll score 30. Just because I'm gonna give the Jets the benefit of the doubt on defense because their defense is solid. I'm gonna say 27-14 Browns. Um,
Yeah.
I I mean I really don't see the Jets scoring more than two touchdowns against us. They might score a field goal or something, but I expect the Browns to put some points up on the board. I expect our defense to play well, and I expect us to win at home. So let's get it done. Let's do it, and let's go to the
Al-
freaking playoffs, man. I'm ready.
Also, fuck Adam Rank.
He's
Fuck
the
Adam
only
Rank.
the only one that said we were gonna lose. I mean, of course. I mean, he's
And
gonna
he
do
said
that.
He
He's being a
said
troll.
almost every week, he said we're gonna just so he could justify his stupid ass rankings that he does at the beginning of the season. He had the Bears going fucking 12-5,
Yeah, yeah. And now we have a chance to go 12-5, which
and he
is
doesn't like
hilarious.
that.
Now he hates it. He hates
Yeah,
it.
it's going 5-12.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for us. This is the Just BSN podcast. Once again, we will see you guys next week, hopefully with the Browns in the playoffs, baby.
Let's go, baby.